What's up, Bears fans? We'll get into a lot of news and rumors coming up after this. But first, I want to remind you guys, I want to get to 1,000 Instagram followers by the end of 2021. We got 2 weeks until a new year. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. But if you want to help me out, help me grow on Instagram, give me a follow. We're 187 followers away. It's at HGramNFL, at HGramNFL. I'll have the link to my IG in the comments of this video and in the description. Slide in my DM, say, hey, go Bears, just watched your video. That way I know that you guys followed me. If you already followed me, you can slide in the DMs as well. Help a brother out. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's show. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. If you've never seen this YouTube channel before, appreciate you guys for clicking on this video. We cover the latest news and rumors here. And with the Bears playing on Monday, I thought I'd kind of get into the latest around the squad, including some COVID updates leading up into that matchup, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's talk coaching rumors. How about hiring Doug Pederson to replace Matt Nagy? I'll go two smoking Jays on this one. I certainly think it's possible. I think he would be a guy worth interviewing if the Bears do indeed fire Matt Nagy, and I certainly expect that to be the case. Mike Garafalo reports that Pederson is, quote, rejuvenated after taking this year off. He, of course, had a split with Philadelphia after the 2020 season. But Garafalo reports, and I don't think this surprises anybody, that Doug Pederson is expected to be a prime coaching candidate for this cycle. Talking about a guy who's won a Super Bowl, talking about a guy who's over 500 as a head coach with his tenure in Philadelphia. Could he replace Matt Nagy? I think it's possible. I think he's got some traits that you certainly would like in your next head coach. And hey, he spent some time at Halas Hall. Remember, earlier this offseason during training camp back in August, he kind of visited a couple of teams and, was consulting, if you will. And, maybe it's a little awkward if him and Nagy are boys and he ends up getting the gig, but that is just life. I think that I would be happy with Doug Pederson. He wouldn't be my top candidate, but I'd take him. The guy won a Super Bowl in the last handful of seasons. He went to the playoffs 3 times with Philadelphia. I mean, he's certainly a guy that's got credibility and that has got some skins on the wall. I mean, he's been there, done that. So I think he's a worthwhile candidate. We'll talk more about my thoughts on him overall as a coaching candidate. But yes, I do like Doug Pederson. I've grown to the idea of him. Still not my top guy, but if the Bears announced tomorrow that he was going to replace Matt Nagy, I'd be like, you know what? It's a pretty solid hire. What do you guys think? Should the Bears hire Doug Pederson? Type H for hire, type P for pass. Nah, you want someone else. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, scroll on down, answer this question, and when you come back, I'll give more thoughts on a possibility of Pederson landing in Chicago. All right, so Doug Pederson as a candidate, a good one. He's got a bizarre resume, though. A little bit of a bizarre resume. I would argue a pretty strong one overall, but you look at his half-decade in Philadelphia. He takes over in 2016 after the Chip Kelly debacle. 7-9, but kind of started to get that back on track. We saw that pay off in the next year. 13-3, wins the Super Bowl despite losing Carson Wentz. Took Bears legend Nick Foles all the way in that year as he helped Foles outplay Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, one of the all-time performances. 9-7 a couple of years in a row, up and down those years, made the playoffs in both of them, though. And then 2020 is a disaster. Carson Wentz loses all of his confidence. Him and Doug Pederson appear to not be on the same page. And then also he kind of got sticky between he and Howie Roseman, the GM, and ownership in Philadelphia as well. Let's call it what it is. Things did not end well for him in Philadelphia. Now, I don't think that goes solely on Doug Pederson. I think there's a lot of people to blame. Carson Wentz, he fell off a cliff in his play, couldn't stay healthy. Doug Pederson, there was friction there that probably helped Wentz lose his confidence. You lose Frank Reich, who gets the Colts job, who obviously Wentz is playing for now. That factors in as well. And then Howie Roseman, ownership as well. It's just a lot of big egos and personalities that all of a sudden started to split on their mindset and how things should be run and how things should be going. So didn't end well. It concerns me that a head coach and a promising quarterback for a while, and Carson Wentz eventually, basically had to part ways. But he also did a lot of good things with Wentz, and of course Nick Foles as well. And I think that he has a good offense and has a good offensive mind to help a kid like Justin Fields out. So again, not my top guy. Two smoking Jays. I think he's certainly worth interviewing, but I think at the end of the day, if you got Doug Pederson, this guy's won a Super Bowl in recent years, and he outcoached Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. That is certainly a tick in the right box. Okay, subscribe to the channel because obviously if the Bears make a coaching change, we'll have you guys covered. Free videos every single day. We'll have a live watch party tomorrow night for Bears versus Vikings. A lot of other channels, they kind of shut it down when their team is 4-9. That's not what we do here, though. We still continue to keep you guys up to date with everything surrounding this football team. So don't punt on us. Keep supporting the channel, and we will continue to have you guys covered throughout this season. Links below, youtube.com/Bears. Now, okay, we'll get to the COVID stuff in a little bit, but I wanted to hit this rumor first. Jalen Johnson calling out his teammates. He kind of did, man. 4 smoking Jays on this one, and Jalen Johnson's been one of the few bright spots this year as there hadn't been many of those. Played well on Devontae Adams last week, which is why the Packers adjusted at halftime and started moving him around. How about that? Halftime adjustments, huh? But he had his weekly, sesh with the media earlier this week and kind of talked about, kind of referenced a split in the locker room. Some guys are still fighting. Other guys are, quote, going into the tank. Certainly some coaches and teammates, they didn't rip Johnson for this, but they came out and said, I haven't seen that. Sean Desai says, I don't see quitting this in this team. But you lose 7 of 8 games, it's possible some guys are going to check out, especially when the playoffs are obviously dead at this point. Here's what Jaylon had to say, kind of a larger quote here. He said, you have the side of the locker room that is starting to go into the tank, and you have the guys that are still trying to fight, figure out how we can get better. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the name of the game. It's trying to get better each and every week and then just being able to put 4 quarters of football together. He also mentioned we got to stop playing just good for 2 of first, second quarter. We got to put 60 good minutes together. Look, guys are frustrated. Jalen Johnson's frustrated that this team's lost 7 out of 8. Guys like Allen Robinson, it kind of does look like they've checked out. He's obviously been frustrated for a year now. He wanted a new contract, didn't get it. He wants to hit free agency. I don't think there's been a overwhelming quit attitude out of this team, but I think it's a bit natural when things start going poorly. Certain guys are just gonna they're just going to move on. They're going to say, man, this season's cooked. I'm done. Now, I don't think it's been just flat out gone from, I'm giving 100% to 0, but, maybe you're not going 110 miles an hour for 4 quarters of a game. You don't want to get injured or something like that. So it's tough times. I mean, players always got something to play for. Tayshaun Gibson talks about, hey, I'm playing, guys playing for another contract potentially. So there's always reasons to play and play hard, but when you lose 7 of 8, there's a lot of reasons and theories to why that would be, and guys checking out is certainly a possible one at the end of the day. Have some Bears players given up. Not the team as a whole, but have some guys given up in your eyes. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Look, A-Rob's the guy that stands out with some of the stuff he did in that Packers game. I'm not saying it's a full give up by him, but I don't think he's given full effort at all times, so I'd have to type my Y for yes. I don't think it's an overwhelming number of guys, though, that have just mailed it in. I think guys, they're just frustrated. Hopefully they can come together and play a good game on Monday night. More to come here on the show, but we've got this Navy Justin Fields jersey, only $90, $89.99, plus a little bit of tax, of course. Chatsports.com/Fields jersey. That is the link to go to, folks. It's in the comments. That link is in the description. Holiday season is here. Get one today, a perfect gift for Christmas. Even if it comes a little after Christmas, you can just play the excuse of, hey, mail slow down, COVID, you know how it goes. Chatsports.com/Fields jersey. Pick up a brand new jersey. And I wasn't saying that to dismiss COVID, by the way. The mail's been slow for a year. That's just a fact of life. Pick up a jersey, rep your squad at that link below. Okay, you look at the final 4 games here. Vikings tomorrow night, obviously. Seahawks on the road in Week 16 before the Giants at home and then at the Vikings. Still bizarre that this schedule's played out the way it has. And obviously, like I alluded to, you've lost 7 of 8, man. You got to find a way to win a game or two here just to get some good morale heading into the offseason. I mean, the main goal for this year, the rest of this year, Justin Fields. Let's have him play as good as possible. Let's give him as much confidence going into this offseason, even if most of this coaching staff is not going to be here. Hopefully, Jalen Johnson and these guys can rally the troops and keep playing hard, and maybe dropping that quote inspires these guys to come out and play well on Monday Night Football in another primetime game. You don't want to be embarrassed on primetime once again. I won't say they got embarrassed by Green Bay, but that second half, pretty darn embarrassing. All right. I'll update you guys on the COVID stuff. I know you guys have been waiting for it, but one quick reminder to follow me on Instagram at HGramNFL, trying to get to 1,000 followers by the end of the year. Slide in the DM, say bear down, go Bears, whatever it is, and I'll acknowledge it. I'll hit you guys back like I always do. All right. Here are the COVID updates before Monday Night Football. Some good, some bad, some good, some bad. Most still unknown on certain guys, but this is where we stand as of now. Andy Dalton, Duke Shelley, they've been added to the COVID list. They will not play on Monday, barring something unforeseen. Eddie Goldman, Elijah Wilkinson have come off the list, though, which is actually pretty big, especially Wilkinson if they need some offensive line depth. Some other players still out there, 3 coordinators, TBD. We'll see what their status ends up being with the new protocols. It's possible that 1 or 2 of these guys come off, but this is the updated list on who is currently on the COVID list. Allen Robinson sitting there, Jesse James, Eddie Jackson, A-Rob and Jackson, obviously some bigger ones. Joel Iggy, depth linebacker, Ryan Nall, running back, fullback, Isaiah Coulter. We add Andy Dalton, you add Duke Shelley. Elijah Wilkinson is off the COVID list. Sam Kamara, Mario Edwards, and Artie Burns on there as well. So that is where things sit at this point in time. So we'll see what happens. Larry Borum on the COVID list as well for Chicago. So Jermaine Ifedi, if he gets activated, or Elijah Wilkinson could start at right tackle. And obviously the coordinators who we talked about earlier this week, Sean Desai, Bill Lazor, Chris Tabor, they all talked to the media. They're hopeful that they could return this week, but at the end of the day, 24 hours, 30 hours till kickoff, we'll just have to wait and see how that shakes out. But the NFL is all dealing with this right now, right? It's very much up in the air. It's very much day to day at this point. So you just gotta strap up and go to war with what you got, and that's where the Bears sit right now, unfortunately. All right, Bears, Vikings. Like I said, we'll have a watch party. Predict the score. Who's gonna win, and what's the final score gonna be? I have no idea, man. I'd probably bet on Minnesota. They're more healthy. They're the better team right now. But I think the Bears can keep it close. Hopefully it's a good game on Monday Night Football. Be sure to join us here on the channel, youtube.com/BearsNow. We'll go live about 15 minutes before kickoff. Look, we always have a good time. We'll take some shots. We'll drink some beers, and I'll have play-by-play for however this thing plays out. So join us for that. We'll see you tomorrow night here on Chicago Bears Now.